is Luke Skywalker. Go ahead.
I've received word an Imperial officer, Crix Madine, wants to defect. Apparently he has a lot of information on the Empire's military ground operation. I'm going to contact him after my meeting with the city officials in the Capitol Tower. Keep your eyes open for any sign of trouble.
Form up.
Today we're rescuing Crix Madine as he tries to defect from the Empire. The thing is though, we already did that. In the game Dark Forces, which happened to be my very first lore play series, and a game that came out 3 years before this one, Madine was imprisoned by the Empire for leaking secrets to the Rebellion. So Kyle Katarn broke into the prison and rescued him. But for some reason, instead of just coming back with us to the Alliance, Madine runs off to a safe house he has on Corellia to contact General Riken so that he can defect again. All you had to do was stay with Katarn, man. But because you couldn't do that, now we have to rescue you again. So here we are on Corellia, specifically Coronet City. This is kinda fun timing, since Coronet City was just shown on the big screen for the first time in Solo: A Star Wars Story. I've gotta say, the Legends and canon versions aren't too far off from each other. It's shown to be a coastal city in the movie, and that's definitely true here. I will say that it looks nicer in the game than it does in Solo, but I think that's because in the movie the planet is definitely under Imperial occupation. We're seeing signs of Corellian resistance in the game, so I would argue that in Legends, Corellia was never as oppressed as the planet we see in canon. I can kind of justify that through Star Wars Rebels. A lot of that story takes place on the planet Lothal, under its Imperial occupation, and it just always looks kind of polluted and subpar, but there are times where we see kind of visions of how it would look if the Empire weren't involved, like its idealized version. And I could kind of see that as happening here. Like, alright, there's no Empire. Well, of course it's being bombed right now, but when it's not fully under the oppression of the Empire and they're left to their own devices, this is more what Coronet City would look like. But let's talk about Coronet City while we try to save it. First of all, the city is canon, thanks to the Aftermath books, Solo, and other stories, but we'll talk about its Legends history since this is a Legends game. Its earliest history was recorded nearly 4,000 years before the events of the films. It became central to the conflict between the Sith and the Republic, but the city was ultimately saved. It wouldn't be part of a major conflict again until Crix Madine tried to defect, and now here we are trying to stop bombers and walkers. By the way, I'm doing my best to shoot the bombers, but I feel like I'm doing as much damage to the city as they are just because I'm a terrible shot.
Can you hear me? Rogue Squadron, this is Crix Madine. The attack came before I could reach Riken, and I'm pinned down in the tech center. Can you get me out? Affirmative. Luke, I've got my hands full. Can you get them?
Okay, now Madine somehow gets stuck in the tech center, which means we have to fly all the way over there to help him out. And he basically keeps us flying back and forth the entire mission because he can't just stay put. Why couldn't he just get to Riken like he was supposed to? He couldn't just hang with Katarn, and now he just can't stay with Riken, so here we are trying to fix all of his mistakes. I used to like Madine, but this game just makes me kind of annoyed with him. Why is he making this so difficult?
That's the tech center. Crix Madine is inside.
Yeah, I know he's inside. I'm just shooting up the tech center as much as they're bombing it, again. Come on, you can do it. There we go. And now we have to go back to the main city.
I've got a problem here. Inbound fighter to 1013. Hold on, Wedge. Yeah! Han, Chewie, well, what are you doing here?
How you doing, kid? Thought I might give you a hand. This is my hometown, after all.
Maintain visual scanning.
That seems to be true in both canon and Legends. This is Han Solo's hometown. By the way, these boats are actually called amphibians. Like the tanks we saw in the last mission, these craft were first created for the comic Dark Empire. They could carry 20 troopers into battle, and I've been joking about how annoyed I am with this mission and the fact that Crix Madine keeps us running back and forth, but I would like to take a pause to say how cool it is that this game pulled in elements of other stories in the EU at the time. They didn't have to do that, and this is like an era before there was a story group or anything like that, so I mean, it was developed by LucasArts, so I'm sure that helped, but it's nice that they took the time to actually kind of pull in other vehicles and vessels when it made sense. It seems like they made a lot of new planets for this game. I mean, obviously Corellia is not one of them, but there were a lot of other planets that just didn't have any information, and I felt like they could have pulled in, like, Dantooine instead of Barkesh, for example, but hey, what are you gonna do? They still did a lot of cool connections and stuff for a game that came out in 1998. Oh my gosh, those people just explode. Kind of like the dewbacks on the first mission. It's so over the top, and it kind of makes me feel a little guilty for just mowing down enemy troopers like that. Are they all holding coaxium? Why do they explode in such a grand fashion? But hey, what are you gonna do? They gotta go. And of course, since we're in an airspeeder, and there's an AT-AT, you just have to do the thing that's in every single Star Wars game ever. Of course, it wouldn't be a Rogue Squadron mission without the appearance of one of our many Lambda-class shuttles, but Crix Madine is saved, and the Coronet Capital Tower is destroyed, but thankfully after Han helps evacuate it. Hopefully Madine stays put this time and we don't have to rescue him yet again. But that's it for this mission. If you want to start this series over from the beginning, you can check out this playlist here. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.